streaming. Okay, you guys are watching a live episode of the INBOX.EXE here on this Tuesday evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world. Whatever time it is in the world, that's when we're coming to you. I keep going up higher and higher and higher. This is the inbox. All right, Wendell, what's going on?
Has nothing to do with 36 inches of snow outside.
No, we didn't get 36 inches of snow. Like everyone's going, oh my God, into the world. And I keep referring them back to the video that Kane and I made a couple of years ago in New York City when it was like, oh my God, over sensational nonsense. The earth is going to end. You know, the mayor yesterday in New York City said that it was going to be the biggest storm in the history of the city. I think a cat died. That's pretty much it. So
I think
yeah,
the Weather Channel actually got it right, but the National Weather Service was like, "Oh lordy, there's gonna be craziness." But the Weather Channel was like, "No."
I think I hear an echo of me in your headphones. How loud are your headphones right now?
Let me turn them down.
Yeah,
They're not insanely loud, but they might be on like old person deaf levels.
old person death levels. All right, so how's everybody doing in the chat? What's going on, everybody? Let me just get over to the chat there. That's me in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and stop that with me praising Jesus right there. So how's everybody doing in the chat? Yeah. 2 people watching, says YouTube. So, you know what? Talisker, hey there. That's getting classy. That's a bit too classy for us. So you take that Talisker and pour it right down the drain, you classy son of a bitch. All right, the stream looks good. Sounds good, I imagine. Let's go ahead and get to some questions here. Let's start off with this first question from Sergeant Kratos. It says, tips for a new IT tech employee. By the way, guys, before I get into this isn't totally, we have no idea. This is not rehearsed at all. I just grabbed a few questions, and I haven't even read these questions fully, so they may be terrible. So you guys may be watching something awful right now. Probably are, as a matter of fact. Hola! Okay, he went Spanish in the beginning. Maybe he's Spanish. Recently, I have been promoted to the IT tech for the industrial contracting company that I work for. It is a small company that is growing quite well and needed someone to maintain PCs and the company server, so I was chosen. I am currently taking classes for IT and physics, but I have never held a tech job before this. I'm seeking any advice to monitor our server, employee PCs, and anything else that could potentially help me out since I am the only tech for our company. Well, you know something? Being the only tech for your company can be a very interesting thing to do, and I'll say this and then I'll let Wendell actually answer your freaking question. But as you're there and as you're learning, there are a few things that you can do to maybe secure your job forever. Make sure that you are you're already probably indispensable, but make sure that they really need you. So even if they fire you, they're going to have to keep calling you for stuff because that'll be nice. That's terrible advice. That's almost dishonest. But that's what you can do.
Terrible advice.
You're the only IT guy in the whole building. You could just change all the passwords. I'm being an ass right now.
That's really bad.
No, what you need to do is you need to make their life so nice and so easy. And you need to make sure that whenever you're talking to them, you translate what, all the IT speak into something that they can understand and relate to. Because them, the business guys, it's all about them and it's all about their money. So the IT guys really know what's up because they're the smart ones in the building and they know how things work and everything behind the scenes. So as long as you can relate to them and keep them happy and go ahead and stroke their ego a little bit, you'll probably be around forever, even if you're terrible at IT. So Wendell, I'll go ahead and let you answer the question about what can he do to monitor the server employees' PCs and that sort of thing. I wasn't even on the screen for that.
Okay. So when you even say you will need to monitor stuff, it doesn't even okay, do you need to monitor what they're doing on the internet? Do you need to monitor their actual PCs, grab screenshots? Do you just need to audit the software they've installed, maybe aggregate things from the Windows Event Viewer and the Windows Event Logs to the server? Maybe you need to centralize the files to be sure that, if Timmy gets hit by a bus, all of Timmy's working files are on the server. There's a whole bunch of things in there. The first thing I'll tell you, let me come at it from another way, is I think you said there were 9 people in the office that was in the thread. I think not a huge number of people. Typical, a normal IT administration job in the industry is you've got 100 to 1 or between 100 to 1 and 1,000 to 1 in terms of number of machines that an individual full-time person takes care of. And so a full-time person for only 10 machines is absolutely ludicrous. That is completely insane. There are all kinds of tools that you can use to automate the support and auditing of the machines. You want to audit the software that's installed. You may want to whitelist the software that can be used by individual people. There are tools out there for whitelisting things at the binary level so that only executables from a specific group of companies can be executed on your machines. You don't necessarily have to lock it down. Maybe you want to lock down the internet. Maybe you want to lock down some other stuff. It's a lot of work to get all that in place. But once you get all that in place, it's basically on autopilot. You need to do maintenance and station keeping to keep it up. But for only 10 people, that would be on the order of like 4 hours a week of proactive support. And then everything else will just be handling issues, which is usually down to training the people, making sure they know how to use the software and all that sort of stuff. And that's really all you got to do. So for 10 people in the office, it ought to be a walk in the park. So what you should have heard was, I'm only going to have to do a day of work a week. I should spend the other 4 days tooling up my skills, because that's how it should be.
Yep. There's actually a lot of good advice in here from some people in the community, and also some discussion in here. So I'm not sure if that fully answers the question or not, but I'm sure that's sent him in the right direction. We want to grab one from the audience here. Let's see what everybody's got going on here in the comments. I'm still praising Jesus there. Look at that. All right, anybody got any questions in the comments? Go for it. I'm not sure how bad the latency is here with this live video, but no, I'm just gonna wait for someone to ask a question. I just wanted an excuse to take a drink. Yeah, there's no questions. No one cares. Let's make up one. Kill phones. Can you put a question mark after kill phones? Kill phones, question mark. We'll go ahead and answer that question. Nah. Okay, answered that one. Coked Up Canary asked the question, tunnel snakes with a period at the end. Tunnel snakes, yeah. What am I drinking? I'm drinking a black IPA. I keep switching to Wendell instead of the regular screen. All right, you know what? Let's go back and take the next question here from the forum here. If you guys want to ask questions, another way to do it is to post them in forum/INBOX.EXE. All right, this question is from Spaceball1. Why aren't we getting paid? Question exclamation point. Logan Pistol, Wendell, or Kane. He forgot the Oxford comma. That always drives me crazy. I love the Oxford comma, man. Dude, give me that Oxford comma. I can't take somebody seriously without the Oxford comma, even though it's technically correct, grammatically, technically, whatever. So I was writing out my checks tonight and found myself very angry! Exclamation point. I have a data cap with my current ISP, and if I go over, and I do every month, I have to pay an absurd, that's a funny way to spell absurd, amount of money. If I go to YouTube, I must watch commercials. I did not request them. I don't even want to see them. If I go to a random website, I guess like ours, I'm flooded with ads. I did not request them, nor do I want to see them. However, I am charged for the bandwidth traffic anyway. WTF? Question exclamation point. All right, this is pretty easy. So what you're doing here is you're saying that there's all these commercials on the internet and all these ads on the internet. So why do you still have to pay for the internet? Well, the ISPs are not the content on the internet. They'd like to be considered the entire internet and the content on the internet, and they'd love to be able to police that and everything. But when you look at like the individual websites and that sort of thing, do I have ad block turned on here? I think I do. Oh my God, I just reinstalled. I got ad block
Teaching
on
everybody bad habits. It's like, our revenues are down. It's $3 last month.
Yeah, there we go. So first thing you guys need to do is go up here and click on your ad block or your ad guard and turn that off. I use ad guard because ad block is awful. So ad guard is what it is. And you just turn it off there and turn it off on YouTube, and that keeps us alive and making content for you guys. Now the deal is just that. The advertisements on the website directly support the media outlets or the websites that you go to. So that's paying their bills, not your internet bill. You're paying for the connection to the internet. You're paying for the pipe that brings all the information to you, because we don't pay for the pipe. You are paying for that pipe. You're paying for the infrastructure. We're just giving you the content. So that's what all the ads are paying for. So lighten up a little bit.
It's really...
just know that the ad, what you shouldn't be lightening up about the data caps. That's stupid. But it has nothing to do with the advertisements.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I really hate to use a cable TV analogy, but I can use a cable TV analogy. So in the olden days, cable TV, you would pay the cable company, and they would run a wire to your house, and that's what you were paying for. The free-to-air program, the free-to-air companies, so TV companies would broadcast their signal, and the TV companies would put ads on their signal, and the cable company would pick up that signal and put it on a wire. So it was a real simple arrangement. The over-the-air television companies would broadcast their signal, and the cable TV companies would pick that signal up for free and then charge you to run a wire to your house so you could receive that same signal. Royalties entered into it relatively recently in the history of cable TV, but originally that's all it was. And so this is not a lot different with ads. Like the cable TV network is going to run ads. The website that you're visiting is going to run ads so they can pay for things. Yes, it does use some of your bandwidth, but that's an issue between you and your ISP. Does your ISP, have anything to do with the ads? Not really, although Verizon and AT&T have been caught injecting their own ads and messing with traffic in the past, although currently I don't believe that they do that.
So I got a quick question here, follow-up to this from Sergeant Pepper in the comments on YouTube. Why is AdGuard better than AdBlock? Well, AdGuard does not... I feel like AdBlock... Well, I don't feel like. I know that AdBlock is taking money from major publishers, and they're putting them on a safe list. So that's kind of against what... The whole idea of what you get AdBlock is you want to block ads on the internet. So if they're taking money to put ads on a safe list... That just seems a bit odd. AdGuard does not do that. It seems to also work quite a bit better. It's easier for me to deal with. I don't know. It's got a better interface, so I like that as well. Yeah, that's what I had to say about that. I saw another question here that was pretty interesting. Oh, do you guys run folding at home? I do not run folding at home. I do not think that is the best way to tackle cancer research. We have a unofficial folding at home team, and you are welcome to join that if you like. I don't even really use it, and my mother did pass away from cancer, so I'm not someone who's unsympathetic or something like that. I just do not think that brute force is the best solution when it comes to finding the solution for cancer or any other disease. It may be, I don't know, Wendell. I might be the weirdo here, but that's just my understanding from reading a few articles from doctors and scientists. But what do you think?
I ran folding at home for many years, but I don't have it running on anything currently. I probably could get back into that, but I haven't. When they switched over, I had a really nice setup, and they switched over, and I could no longer. I used the PS.EXE on Windows, and then there was a Linux client, and they changed something, and I had to update the client, and it didn't work immediately, and then I just sort of gave up and didn't mess with it anymore after that. But it was an interesting project.
All right, everyone keeps asking about AMD Zen. We'll get to AMD Zen in just a minute, so you don't have to post it anymore in the comments. Wendell, you might want to bring up an AMD Zen window just so we can have reference, because that's the new x86 architecture that AMD announced like yesterday while I was asleep. So, or didn't announce it, some details leaked from the new AMD Zen thing. One of the other interesting questions that was in the comments was, how do you feel about AMD and Nvidia throttling each other? I think it's incredibly destructive for the community, but good for their bottom line. It's a wise business decision for them because it likes to, keep people locked into their gardens. I feel like Nvidia does this a lot more than AMD. Just, Dying Light came out today, and in the options there are several Nvidia specific checkboxes. The game seems to be horribly optimized, but there's like Nvidia HBA AO, I believe, and also Nvidia depth of field. So I'm not sure how much better that'll run on an Nvidia card, but that's obviously something that came from the Nvidia GameWorks suite, which is a closed-off suite just for Nvidia cards. AMD cards can run this stuff, but it's a lot more expensive computationally. So I think it's bad for the community, and I really like the direction that AMD is going with their open initiatives. Now, FreeSync is open, but you still have to, I believe, pay AMD to get certified as FreeSync, because the actual open stuff is adaptive VSync. Now, Nvidia can't support adaptive VSync, and their stuff would technically work on FreeSync monitors, because FreeSync is the same thing with a fancy name thrown on top that AMD's collecting money for, so you can put a little sticker on your case that says FreeSync. But I think it would be amazing if Nvidia would actually support adaptive VSync. And if they support DisplayPort 1.2a, they will be supporting it, but they've come out and said that they have no interest in supporting anything other than G-Sync. So that's a bit confusing and also bad for, again, the community. If they can figure out a way to do what's best for the community and then just make graphics cards that are way more powerful each generation, way more powerful than the other, there'll still be a market for them, but I don't think that they're going to do that. I think that they're going to continue to try to build walled gardens. So anyway, a little bit of a rant there.
Here's
Logan is
what
Alex
we
Jones.
really-
I'll punch you in the face.
Here's what we really need to do with that. So that whole adaptive sync thing, that has been built into EDP, embedded DisplayPort, since the dawn of time. And it turns out those Korean monitors that we all love, those are basically EDP on the inside. We really should just build some kind of adapter to go from EDP direct. It's going to involve modification to a graphics card. Like we would have to we couldn't just go DisplayPort because that's not going to work. We would need to locate a GPU that has explicit EDP support and graft on an adapter or graft on extra wires or something to do the EDP standard to that. And then at that point, the demos that AMD did that were on laptops, because hey, that's why they did the demos on a laptop, that should start to make sense to you guys now, would work in a desktop configuration. I would love to do that with one of the 27-inch monitors. Ironically, Macs with their embedded video stuff probably does that. So like the new 5K iMac probably already does FreeSync.
Interesting. Should we go on and answer some more questions? We got a lot of swill in the comments right now. Guys, I'm drowning in your swill, so stop that crap. Yeah, can someone ban JKF whatever who keeps saying Logan is whatever? How do I ban him? I'm going to try to ban somebody. It's going to be great. Oh, yeah. Blocked.
Ban hammer.
Yeah. It's just flooding the if you guys are gonna, you know what, you may be intelligent, you may be a good member. If you guys flood the comments with swill, I will flush you down the toilet. That's where swill goes. All right. Next question is just from Reagan Thorpe. You know, Thorpe is a great name. I met a dude with a first name Thorpe. That's awesome, isn't it? I just wanted to tell that story because his last name is Thorpe, but I met a new dude whose name was Thorpe. I can't say it on the air because people will Google him, but never mind. It was like it was the toughest name I've ever heard. And when you met him, he gripped my hand in a way that like almost crushed every bone in my entire arm. And I was like, this man is Thorpe. Anyway, Reagan Thorpe. Your first name's Reagan, so I think that negates Thorpe. He just says, Zweihander! When are you going to release a new album? I love the music and I'm excited to see what's next. Keep up the good work. I have decided never to release the new album. Ever. Okay, moving right along here.
What?
It'll come out one of these days. But I don't know when. I mean, it's been pushed back so much now. Right now I'm waiting on, like, the music's 98%, really is. And now I'm waiting on a whole bunch of other things, like we got to do a video, and I want to make a t-shirt, and the album artwork's not done. And now it's all the little things, and it's hurting cats to get that kind of stuff done because I've got to do that and all this other stuff. So, and like the last couple of weeks, I've worked so much that I have just, like over the weekend, the last 4 days, I have done no work. I didn't even come into the studio until today, and it felt like another planet. I was like, what is this place? Because I burnt myself out so much last week doing 2 or 3, like 15 and 16-hour days in a row, that when I came in here, I was like, whoa, I'm on the surface of Mars. The studio, look at it. So yeah, I have my break now. And whenever I'm like that, it's just difficult to do anything with music or work or anything. So too many things going on at the same time. It takes a lot longer to get things done, but they get done. All right, this is an interesting question from MuscleCar289. He's a disabled gamer. I'm going to go ahead and try to summarize this because it is a big post here. Basically, he's disabled and has limited mobility and limited movement even in his upper body. But so he has trouble assembling a physical PC. And when do I have it? I'm just going to kind of spring this on you right now. But he's kind of asking. He says he has a $1,200 budget. He wants to know if we can just help him put something together. He'll pay for the shipping and the parts and everything. And then we can put something together. Maybe make a small to medium form factor system for him. He does want triple monitors, so we'll probably just ship those straight to him. And then, build him a computer, make a video about it, and then send it to him. What do you think? Think we could handle that?
Yeah, I think
I know
I think that wouldn't. I don't think it would really be a big deal. I was thinking about maybe an ITX Xeon for this guy, only for the longevity. So like something like the Node 304 with ITX and
Yeah.
a good graphics card. Something like, because it's fairly portable. It'll take standard size drives. You've actually got a lot of room in there with a full length graphics card. He'll still have room for 4 drives. It'll take a normal size power supply, so it's not super tiny, but it's pretty tiny, and that's about as tiny as you can get and not have heat or issues like that.
Well, $1,200 is a pretty tight budget if you want to get triple monitors and all that other stuff. Like being able to play modern games at 1440p. You want 16 gigabytes of RAM. You want an SSD. That's pretty tight. So, are the monitors included in that cost? Because I don't know the case that
I was thinking the monitors wouldn't be.
You almost couldn't. You couldn't include 3 monitors in that $1,200 price. I wouldn't think, because then you wouldn't really have much of a system at all.
He could run 3 monitors off of the graphics card on the ITX, especially if we get Z97. He could use the onboard graphics and the add-in. So even a GPU that only supports 2 displays, he could still run the 3rd display off of the built-in GPU.
You'd have to get one of the Xeons that does have the integrated graphics. I think the ones that in 5. I'm not sure though. Like the 1245 and the 1275, those have graphics, but the 1240 and the 1270 and the 1230 do not. Is that correct? Or
That is
I think
correct.
that's how it works. Yeah, that's how it works. So we have to get one of those. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's probably worth it. But you won't be able to play 1440p gaming. So,
Yeah. And there's not as much overclocking headroom. But you'll never have to work on your machine, probably. Well, not never. There's much less of a chance, because I don't know if we get error correcting RAM or not. We probably would. And that would probably survive better. That would probably be less likely to have issues. I mean, hell, maybe we can get a motherboard that's got IPMI and do remote tech support. No.
That would be awesome. You know something I want to know in the comments? This is because here's the deal. I've got a big freaking heart. Sometimes it's too big for my own good, but I'd like to help this guy out. And if we make a video, the video will get hits, and then the different companies out there will enjoy that. So maybe I could call up a couple of companies and be like, hey, could you help sponsor maybe 1 or 2 parts for this to make it a little bit more affordable? Then we can build him an awesome PC, make an awesome video. You'll get, the audience will see that we whenever we do a video that we build something, we choose the parts and then email the companies. And it's not the other way around, where like a lot of people think like, oh, you guys got sponsored to use exactly those parts. No, I call and say, hey, I want to use this silent case, like this Silencio from Cooler Master that's in the floor over there. You guys can't see that I'm going to be making a video on soon. I called and said, hey, my capture rig is too loud. Can you hook me up with a Silencio case so that I can make a video showing how I'm going to make my capture rig way quieter? And now, have you guys noticed in the last couple of months, or the last month and a half since I installed the Silencio, I haven't made the video yet. I feel bad. Cooler Master's probably angry. That means I got to do it next week. Anyway, if you guys noticed that there's no more background noise in the videos, well, that's because I moved to the Silencio 652S. Cha-ching! But really, no. That's what we do.
Placement, Taco Bell.
Taco Bell? Oh, God. Let me just take a bite out of this burrito real quick. Oh, yeah. But anyway, that's the way it... That's how... Where did that even come from, that product placement, Taco Bell?
It's Kung Pao Enter the Fist. He dubbed over the Shaolin monk fighting, and so he put like Taco Bell at a little table where the monks are, and it just shows a monk walking across the courtyard. But the Steve Odenkirk did the voiceover, and he's like, Taco Bell, product placement, Taco Bell. So it's kind of like that with your Silencio.
Yeah, exactly. Except I've chosen this. Taco Bell chose them. I choose my parts, request them. If I don't get them, I say, well, let's work something out. I need a platinum power supply or a gold power supply. And then we talk. And sometimes I just buy, like, the next slew of videos you're going to see about build videos for our systems. I bought like 90% of the stuff that's going into them. And then, 1 or 2 pieces here and there. Corsair hooked us up with some amazing DDR4 64 megabytes. Cha-ching! Just getting paid today. I'm getting paid. Okay. All right, enough of this stuff. Yeah, I think we could do something cool for him and make the community happy. But I think everyone believes that he's. I mean, the problem that we're going to have now is that everyone's going to be making up sob stories, and you're gonna have the thing where you got the guy walking around town with the hospital bracelet on, and this guy didn't get out of the hospital, but he's looking for just enough money to buy a chicken sandwich. You know what I'm talking about? That guy with and it's like, I've seen this. Some of these guys, you see them 6 times, and every time you see them, it's like a week or two has passed, and every day it's like, dude, you get out of the hospital every single day, and you've got that hospital brace on. So don't even try that stuff in the comments. I don't want it. It's not. I won't. It won't happen. He's the first, so he gets special treatment or what. I don't even know where I'm going.
There are many, many more people that need our help. And so this is why we come to you, the community. You can help those people. We can make the world a better place together. You don't have to wait for us to do stuff. You can actually do stuff for yourself. It's a Christmas miracle, but you can. So, yeah.
We're going to help enable you guys. Speaking of that, let's what else we got here? RSI, is it in your brain? Should we even answer this question? It's about one of the Tech Quickie videos that was put up online. They want to know what
I really
we think.
enjoyed the Tech Quickie video in a deeply disturbing... I was watching that guy, and I totally saw the... you ever watch American Psycho? And it's like, oh my God, the business card is made out of this number 10 super white paper or something.
He reminds you of him?
Well, a little bit.
Maybe it's just the glasses or something. I don't know. I think he's a cool guy. The interesting thing here, I think about this video, RSI is a repetitive strain injury. And that's stuff like carpal tunnel and several other things, tendonitis, where you do repetitive motions and then you develop strain in your wrists. So he read an interesting book there, and he talks about the book a lot, and apparently a lot of it was in his head, and it went away after he read the book magically, even though he was going to the doctor and taking lots of drugs and taking all kinds of different remedies and that sort of thing. So it magically went away after he read this book. And what's even weird, we need some like weird, like some weird, like, alien encounter music. This should be on the History Channel or the Sci-Fi Channel. But so that happened, right? Repetitive strain injury. I can't. Maybe I can't. I'm white girl. I can't even.
So I've been doing repetitive stressy things, I don't know, since I was 9, and it's never been a problem, but I think it's because of the Model M. Oh, this is so satisfying.
All right, so essentially what happened is you have used a Model M, and it has worked out your fingers and your wrists, and your fingers, and they are just shredded, and they're just ripped all to hell. You've been doing straight steroid shots into your fingers, and then you go and you type for 20 hours and break a sweat just on your hands.
I mean, I could do 80 words a minute when I was like, I don't know, 11, and it's never been an issue. So sometimes I get a little tired on the mouse side. So like, this is a Logitech MX Revolution. This is pretty much the mouse that I use everywhere. I hate this mouse. This mouse is a poor piece of technology, but it is insanely comfortable. And so I use it because it's insanely comfortable. The latency on this is crazy, but it's so comfortable I use it anyway.
So now this video, let me say something about this. I do take issue with this video because all of his evidence for everything going away was completely anecdotal, and there's no hard science behind the mind over matter thing in this particular case. And it does kind of make sense that if you do repetitive actions and you do them in a strange way, like if you incorrectly situate your wrists, that should hurt you because naturally your human body is not made to do things like that. So the fact that all of his pain went away after reading the book is so weird to me, and there may be some science behind it. Something in his brain might have been doing this, or maybe I don't know. But I am very much doubting Thomas when it comes to religion. I need to go put my fingers in the holes inside your hands, man. That's freaking weird sounding, but you know what I'm saying. It's like I think people could maybe it comes off almost as like he's trying to sell a book. And I'm not saying that your brain and your all that kind of stuff doesn't have power, but it seems kind of woo-woo to me, if that makes any sense. And I'm okay with it being real, but I want to see some science behind it. And maybe this video could provoke some scientific studies. So, because they're going to get a lot of hits on this, and they're going to create a mild bit of controversy. And it's the least technical video they've made, and it's the least specific video they've made. It's just, like I said, purely anecdotal. But he did personally say he felt better, which is it's weird. I don't know.
There's so this kind of thing. I have a friend who's a physical therapist, and this kind of thing comes up in physical therapy in general. And so you there it does seem to be at least from his experience. He's near retirement, so he's been doing this for a while. Um, his take on this kind of thing is that in your brain, like the fear of getting hurt or just tension in your muscles. He said you see this a lot of the time with like your neck, but he was convinced that you could get it elsewhere, like in your wrists and your legs and stuff.
Right.
And so like your muscles will just tense up, and it's almost like the static exercises that you do, where you just have one arm pushing on another arm. Well, your muscles work in pairs, and so people will subconsciously, not realizing it, have both of their sets of muscles working against one another, as hard as they can, like they were doing one of those resistive exercises, but not realize it. And so that'll
Right.
lead to tearing and tendon problems and, all that kind of stuff. And so he was convinced that getting somebody mentally in the right place for physical therapy, like, doing, the jogging and no pain, no gain and things like that, and having their head in the right place, it was a big part of the physical therapy. And certainly the guy from Linus Tech Tips was like, well, it was excruciatingly painful emotionally, and so then it became physical pain. Totally a thing. Totally can happen. I've certainly I remember very clearly when I discovered the expression "bored to tears." I was in I had never been bored because it was always something to read or do or whatever, and I was in a situation and
Well, watching
once when I
X-Men
was
1 or
younger.
something?
Yeah, and it was like, my God,
Just being,
it was like my eyes were watering, and it's like, oh my God, I'm literally bored to tears. I thought that was just an expression, but no, it's a thing that actually happens. This is crazy.
I guess I have some flexibility problems with my back, and it gets very stiff. But I have found that stretching can sometimes help. But sometimes a quicker way to do it is to close my eyes and breathe slowly, and just kind of like in my brain release the tension. And sometimes it's like, oh, I can actually move now. So I guess if he would have explained it that way, where he was like almost like the fear. I guess he did say fear a few times, but like I don't know, maybe I don't know. It just felt too new agey for me. Maybe there is some science behind it, but how can you study something like that? I don't know.
Coming soon on our How to Live channel is just like, come on, let's just do this.
We'll have Albert host some of that stuff because Albert, let me tell you, if we did like something that was out there, he could probably host it, and we're talking like way out there. Like it would be hilarious. On the way back from ESR, we had a several 5 or 6 hour drive or whatever, and I was very, very, very tired. So I was like, Albert, dude, let's just talk about the pyramids, and you tell me all about the pyramids and all about everything that happened, how they were built, how they were charged, all that kind of stuff. And we made it the entire way back, and when we pulled into the driveway, it was like we had to sit there in the car for a minute so we could finish the sentence. So it's it works. It's pretty good. Anyway, what's the next question here? Let's move on. Logan/Wendell, could you guys guest on a broadcast TV/radio show on net neutrality? And he's listed the show here and wants to know if we could, guest host on the Tom Hartman show, which I have not seen much of. I don't have a television, and I don't really listen to the radio all that much. But he wants to know if we could guest host on it. So, in talk, listen, man, if you work for that radio show and you'd like to have us on, well, why don't you, send us a proper invitation? But if not, it's how do we get on there? They would have to invite us on there. I mean, you guys could go and tweet at them and be like, hey, you should have these guys on when they talk about net neutrality or technology or whatever, and maybe that would help. But also, I kind of wanted to use this as an opportunity. If you look here in the comments, there's a lot of people talking about how all this stuff works, and being on the media. And a long time ago, when we first started this, I said to Wendell, I was like, in a few years, maybe after, I don't know, when we get to the tech number 200, maybe, just maybe, a major news source will call us and be like, hey, you guys are, you maybe know a couple of things about this junk, and let's have you on and let you be one of those talking head authority type people. And I was like, that could be a thing. Maybe, who knows? Maybe we can get a publicist. So maybe we
The
should
most
get a
I can
publicist
ever
to do
hope
that.
for is to be the Andy Richter of tech.
The Andy Richter. What's the skeleton guy name on
Jeff Peterson.
Jeff Peterson? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's totally Jeff Peterson.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jeff. Jeff with a G. Yes, right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it'd be pretty cool to be on as a talking head. But after the first time I was on there, I'd probably never be invited back because I'd say something so asinine and ridiculous. They'd be like, "Yeah, we shouldn't have that guy back anymore." But it would go viral on YouTube. That clip would be played everywhere because not because of what I say, but because of the reaction of the the host who doesn't know what 4chan is or whatever. It would be funny.
It's funny about the whole Jeff Peterson thing because I actually have. This is my talking LCD head. Which...
We never actually got that thing finished.
Yeah, well, I got the software done, but I never actually programmed the actual face. I got the mouse control and stuff going for it, but yeah, I need to 3D print a talking head. That would be a lot of fun. It's like, I can be Jeff Peterson.
One of the comments here on YouTube was, because I just said about all the, going on TV and stuff. He said that a show named We Know Tech Junk could be pretty good. So we should just make a new show called We Know Tech Junk, even though I don't know
See,
as much
the
most,
thing that kills me is that, like, Tech TV, G4, that actually made money. So why isn't somebody still doing that? I mean, Chris Perillo's still out there. He's still doing stuff. Leo Laporte has made a fortune. So
Who's Chris who?
Clearly
Chris
there's
oh, sorry, Chris Perillo. Sorry.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Sorry. I'm messing with him. It's good. This is because you didn't respond to my tweet from like 6 months ago. I'm still holding a grudge, dude. I don't even know. I'm being silly right now. I got a great question here that I guess we could switch gears and go into this. And it is where I just went past it. Essentially was in Linux, what do you use as an alternative for Adobe Premiere? And there are several different options. There's Lightworks, right? Now, Lightworks will require, I can't even speak. Lightworks is going to require a lot of effort because the way it works is so different compared to Premiere. It's not a bad option. It's industry standard. They've used it for several major motion pictures and some TV shows and that sort of thing. But you're going to totally retune your brain to get that to work. But it's a hell of a piece of software. The problem with it is it's not exactly free. You're kind of paying for the codecs and you're paying like a yearly subscription fee to maintain all those. So yeah, not 100% free in my opinion. There's Kdenlive, and that one is probably going to be the best for people who are familiar with Premiere but want to go open source. It's not quite as full featured as Premiere. It may not be as fast as Premiere, but it will have a similar timeline. Now, the ultimate option is probably also something that's going to have a bit of a learning curve, and that's Blender. And Wendell, I downloaded Blender today and started playing around with it. Spent a little bit more than an hour on it. The way that it handles, just the way that it handles everything, can be tuned, and you can really build your own, your own like interface to edit things, and it can be familiar. But I feel like it's going to take a little bit longer for me to edit a video in Blender compared to Premiere, and that may be because the workflow of the way that works. Maybe just because I have all my templates saved in Premiere, but I'll have to keep playing around with it and seeing if I can find streamlined shortcuts to create some templates. And then I do like the way it handles files. It's a bit different, but I do like the way it handles files. It's interesting. So I would say in this order is what you should check it out. Kdenlive for just, very quick and easy, switching from Premiere. Blender, because it's very nerdy and there's a lot you can do with it. And then Lightworks, because it does have the steepest learning curve out of all the three, but it is probably the most powerful for just video editing. So yeah, there you have it. I don't know. There are some other options as well. And Pivoti, I think it is kind of in beta, and I'm waiting till that comes out. So yeah, I don't know.
It's crashy.
Yeah,
extra
right now.
crashy. It's like, oh, here, have 12 gigabytes of video. Blech.
Yeah. How's the snow where I am? It is white. It's kind of cold. And who asked this question here? That's from Elazar Kramer. So yeah, it's white and it's powdery and it's nice. The dog likes to play in it, and it's cold. That's how the snow is. Yeah, I'm an ass. Logan, what am I drinking? I'm drinking a black IPA. That's all I can tell you guys because it's from down the street. Oh my God, it's delicious. It is so delicious. We don't want people doing what they did like on Reddit this week.
We should have our own Kickstarter like Linus does, except it would be like for a kegerator for you.
Just, okay, I need to raise $30,000 for a kegerator right now, guys. And if we raise $50,000, I will wear a tutu and do the tech.
We'll bling
That
the
will never
kegerator
happen.
out with neon. That's what we'll do with the extra money. It's like, oh, it's got neon. It's got ground effects.
Hydraulics, so it shakes itself up and all that. Yeah, no. All right, let's go back over here to the questions from the website. Maybe answer one more of these. So, Hounds is looking for a name for his PC. Too lazy to get a picture. Oh, you're too lazy to get a picture, are you? So he wants a name for his PC. He's going to be building it inside. It's going for a blue and black build, and he's using the Zigmatech Asgard, and he's using the orange one. So, yeah, blue and black build inside of an orange case. That sounds a bit weird. So there's the Asgard. I guess the least creative name you could do would be like the Asgard, but we can go to. Shall we go to Norse mythology and come up with another name for it? Loki's too. It's just too typical, right? You got Odin and all those guys. I don't know. What's your favorite thing from? What's that?
Mjolnir.
Mjolnir.
A Warhammer named Mjolnir.
Is that actually from Norse mythology? Mjolnir.
Yep, that's the name of Thor's hammer.
Why didn't I know that? I like Thor's cool and all that. Mjolnir, huh? And it's, you know what? That's actually a good name, Mjolnir. So it's Thor's hammer, and a hammer is something that you get things done with. Whether it's cracking skulls or hammering nails, you get things done with a hammer. So therefore, you should name your PC Mjolnir. Let it be known. There we go. How's that? It's a decent looking little case. All right, how many more questions should we do here?
Oh, we can keep going. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
why
fine.
not?
It's only 11.
Yeah. Recommendations for more enterprise-focused hardware YouTube channels. So he's interested in more enterprise-focused. And there's not a lot of enterprise-focused YouTube channels out there. And I think the reason for that may be that the guys who have made it all the way up to the enterprise level kind of know a thing or two and don't necessarily have time to watch YouTube, so they're not going to be out there watching YouTube, and maybe they already know so much that they're, you know, if they go watch YouTube, they want to chill out and just watch something funny instead of learning because they already know a lot of the things. However, an enterprise focused YouTube channel could be really, really good for people who want to get into that, or people who have just entered the field, or possibly it could be a good place to build a community of enterprise type people who don't really have a community to hang out in. They just go to work and they come home and they watch Downton Abbey and eat pizza and then go to bed, you know. Or what else do you watch? I don't know. What if enterprise grade people watch? What do they watch?
Reruns of Knight Rider while you're exercising.
There you go. And what's that? What was that helicopter show? Something Hawk? No, from the 80s. It was
Magnum PI.
Magnum PI. No, there was like a helicopter show, and at the end of the show, the helicopter's always like shooting machine guns and missiles. Nighthawk or
Airwolf.
Airwolf, yes. Watch Airwolf reruns. Can't believe you remembered Airwolf. Oh god. All right, so you posted an answer here on the forum, but I'll go ahead and let you tell everybody else who has not seen this post about the new channel.
Oh yeah. We are like there's a lot of content coming, and a lot of it's really esoteric. Like really esoteric. And so the comments are not always like super positive on the main channel. So we're going to do a channel for Linux and a channel for Enterprise. And we've actually got a lot of videos ready to go for the Enterprise. I mean, they go way back, like basically, I'll let you in on a little secret. The how to do Skyrim on a Surface RT, basically, that's the Remote FX remote desktop stuff. And so it's basically it's Windows Server with the Remote FX remote desktop video card pass through the whole 9 yards. But here's the mind bending thing. So Windows 7 with remote desktop doesn't have the protocol capabilities to play Skyrim at a decent frame rate. So on an Asus ZenBook the UX32 VD versus the Surface RT, the Surface RT actually had a much better frame rate in Skyrim than we did on the UX32 VD, which is crazy. It's mind blowing. But so yeah, it's like, oh, let's go through and set up Windows Server, and then let's get an appropriate video card and pass through that on remote desktop, and then now I'm going to configure group policy in order to allow the users to pass through into group policy. Now I need to configure system partitioning so that these individual virtual desktop machines can actually do the hardware pass through. Now I need to configure my Steam account. Now I need to configure the Surface RT on the nobody. I mean, just whoosh. So yeah, we're gonna have an enterprise channel.
Someone in the comments just said they're not going to be able to watch this channel if it's esoteric in the UK.
It's been banned. It's like it's against social,
done.
Whatever. There's another
we can have
one.
people knowing about social, infrastructure. I said the wrong thing, but server infrastructure. Go ahead.
Well, there's another video that's done forever. That's also it's like, okay, so you get a Dell RAID controller. You guys in the enterprise that are watching this, you probably have encountered this. You get a Dell RAID controller. The Dell's rebranded LSI. HP controllers are the same way. So the controller spazzes and deletes the container from the disk because it thinks that it needs to reinitialize or whatever. So this was a real situation. Basically 2 terabytes of information was completely lost. The controller destroyed not only the partition table, but also the beginning of the file system. And so it was a video that I showed you how to basically diagnose that and then use DD on Linux to do surgery on the file system 512 bytes at a time. And that actually restored a working file system after the Dell firmware completely destroyed the not just the partition table, but also the start of the file system. Fortunately, the NTFS MFT was intact. There's more than one MFT, so if the first MFT had been destroyed, we would have to do surgery and copy the MFT from elsewhere on disk to the first MFT so that the file system would mount correctly. But I mean, good Lord, that's insane. That's like 9th level, wizardry there. That's just not even a thing.
Here's an interesting question. We said we were going to talk about Linux, and we haven't really talked about it much. And moving over to Linux and everything like that. What's your favorite Linux distro? And we should probably keep this short because the main point here with Linux distros is people dwell on this way too much. They always sit around and go like, this one's better and this is. Just get some stuff done. Install a Linux distro and get some stuff done.
Yeah.
But
we learn. Come on.
Everyone has preferences, but you know what? Your preferences should not be pushed on someone else. And that's the beauty of Linux is that, someone else can be running KDE on top of, Fedora while someone else is running Ubuntu with GNOME 3, and then someone else is running Linux with Mint Cinnamon. They can all run those things, but at the end of the day, what did they accomplish? Because that is what they will be known for, not the distro that they were running. So anyway, I've prefaced it. What's your favorite distro?
We've got... the Eric S. Raymond videos too. So, Eric S. Raymond was doing stuff with a Core 2 Duo. I mean, so come on. You guys ought to be banging out, Linux 4.0 on a TI 85. I mean, come on. Let's be serious. Okay. So my favorite distro for daily drivering is Debian. So Slackware with Linux kernel 1.3 and Slackware. That's where I got my start. And in terms of like solving business problems, kernel 2.0 on Slackware and Debian, pretty much forward. Red Hat, I don't think became usable until probably Red Hat 4, maybe 5. And then it sort of had some lulls. Not really a favorite. CentOS is okay. It's really the non-branded Red Hat, but it's Red Hat Enterprise Linux. 5 is pretty good. 6 is pretty good. I really like OpenSUSE. So we're doing Linux videos right now, and so I've revisited total noob installations of so far Ubuntu in a couple of different permutations, Arch, Gentoo, Sabian, and OpenSUSE. And I am really impressed by OpenSUSE. It is super well put together. It is so far the only distribution that has allowed me to configure all 6 monitors without crashing, being weird, or being ungodly slow. That's kind of impressive.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So OpenSUSE, holy crap, they have done, and they put a lot of polish into it and making it really stable. Now on Ubuntu, the problems that I've run into, I've been able to drop to the command line and fix it, and so that's going to be in the videos a little bit. But I can see why that would be a little bit intimidating for a noob. But I think the attitude that you're going to have with Linux is that Linux is a command line operating system with a GUI on top of it, and you're going to have to learn the command line. Windows is a GUI, and they're bolting on a command line in PowerShell because the command line is just too powerful. If you've got a lot of machines to manage, you got to use the command line. And so PowerShell is not as powerful as a remote shell like on Linux. Not yet, but it's getting close, and that's the direction they're headed. So where Microsoft wants to be in 10 years is where Linux has been since 1999.
For me, as far as the distros go, I'm going to be exploring several different distros. The easiest one to get started with is like Linux Mint, maybe, but Aurora, if you're someone who's into Fedora, is also easy, and it's similar to Windows, but just like Windows just said, you're going to have to get in there and play around with the command line, especially if you want to do something like install drivers, especially Nvidia drivers. I had to use PuTTY on my Windows box to SSH into the Linux machine to install the drivers, because you don't even want to know. X server, who knows? I probably could have done it on the local machine by opening up another instance of terminal, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go sit at my own computer and do this stuff. So I did. Anyway, that brings us to the next question here, which is, we're in the middle of all this Linux talk. Linux Master 9 says, why don't you do a series on switching to Linux? And it's just like, why don't you do a series on switching to Linux as a daily driver? Linus Tech did a series on switching to Mac as a daily driver, and the likelihood that he would switch to Linux is minuscule. Linus, dude, switch to Linux, man. Come on. I'm not sure who did I didn't see the whole one about switching to Mac, but you're going in the wrong direction. So switch to Linux. Just do it. Yeah. You can use whatever you need to get your work done is more important than anything else. But open source. Go ahead, Wendell.
The Ubuntu video is almost completely shot, and so those are the things that I've covered. Actually, I've tried to cover the music player, the media organization features, evolution for mail, because evolution seems to be, I mean, there are a million mail programs on Linux, but all of the distros seem to really put evolution front and center. Also look at numeric for spreadsheets, or GNumeric. Don't want to go there.
And you don't even know. You don't even know.
I don't even. Yeah, exactly.
You don't even know.
Yeah. So those are the kinds of things that we've had a bash with. So,
maybe bash somebody's head in.
But those are important things for a daily driver. Now, I have not encountered a mail program on Linux that can handle a 40 gigabyte mailbox, but that's okay. We'll get there somehow. Something with the MySQL backing store is probably going to be necessary, but it's not completely insane. But those are the sort of daily driver type programs you look at, and it really also how much stuff you actually do on the web. Like if you've got Firefox or Chrome or Chromium, you're basically okay because everything is on the web. And that's honestly the future that Microsoft fears, because then you're really, really device agnostic. And the thing that has driven that is Linux, but Linux on the tablet. And of course, Apple's tablets, I guess, which is a form of Unix on the kernel underneath there. So that's still kind of a win for Linux.
Speaking of, there's more to this question here. I stopped on the whole Linus thing. I don't know why. I feel like I need to send an apology letter to Linus after this video, just because I haven't been mean to Linus. Have I been mean to Linus? I wish he would try out Linux. I'm sad that there's a minuscule chance that he's going to try out Linux, because I feel like Linux is going to be very important for the future, especially when we have Windows 10 coming out. A lot of walled gardens. Mac is another walled garden, but you can really get work done without a lot of headaches in Mac. Maybe, possibly, kinda. If you're not doing a lot of strange, esoteric, weird things, you can do that on Mac. But we need to get more people in the community using Linux. That's what I feel. So maybe I'll send him an email and just like chat with him a little bit about that. But it's whatever he does is up to him. So now he says like make a video series about like us switching over to Linux and trying to use it as a daily driver. I'm gonna have to be dual booting Windows and Linux for a while because a lot of the games I want to play are Windows only, and I'm still reliant upon some Windows applications. Just about two maybe. Foobar, which you can run in Wine, and I've had some success running that in Wine, but it's just like the best, music program. There's some okay music programs for Linux, but everybody out there, who keeps telling me that, the whole thing where there is the Windows programs are better is completely false now, and there's perfect replacements on Linux. Not quite. You do have to make sacrifices, and I want you guys to stop pretending that there are no sacrifices to be made, because when you start pretending that there are no sacrifices to be made, you stop bettering the software out there. So we need to keep saying, hey, this software can get better, and hey, we can make this as good. Like Darktable, for instance, is not the equivalent of Lightroom. Lightroom is slightly better. I mean, Darktable's pretty damn close. Video editing, Kdenlive is not the equivalent of Premiere. It's okay. It's just not nearly the equivalent. So I know these are open source programs, and that's the beauty of them. But we need to be sure that they are not the equivalent of some of the stuff that has tons of funding and tons of users. So let's not kid ourselves here. But it's a sacrifice, and it's also, there's also some sort of there's some philosophy involved. Like it's sort of the responsible thing to do to try to push yourself in this direction. And the bottom line is I've got to get my work done. So I'll probably be using Premiere for quite a while longer. I'm going to keep trying. And as soon as I can get to the point where I am as comfortable with another program, I'll completely stop using Premiere, which would be great. But, in this series, there's also going to be me screwing up a lot. So that's going to be, kind of embarrassing. Because I'm supposed to be, I've got a YouTube channel with a few subscribers, and people look at us like, we're smart. No, Wendell's smart. I've got a lot of subscribers, and I'm on this channel too. But I've been playing around with technology for a gazillion years. But I also come from an entertainment background, and I have a lot of fun, and we goof off, and I like to sort of encourage the entire community to have fun, goof off, and learn. And that's where I've sort of used my ability to goof off and draw a crowd to organize like-minded individuals. So that's, I feel like, more my strength, and Wendell will help with some of the stuff that requires a bit more nerdy intellect. So
we're doing file system surgery with DD. How crazy am I? That's crazy. You should never. That's not even a thing. You should at least use a hex editor.
See, I don't know. But one thing I do know. Okay, would you guys buy a shirt that said says "Do you even grep"? I want to know that, because I kind of want that shirt. It would be funny. But would you guys buy a shirt that says "Do you even grep"?
I would like grokking grep since 1985. Oh,
you've broken me. You have broken the Logan.
Broken the internet is what I've done.
Grokking grep. It's probably the beer, but that was hilarious. So yeah, we will make some Linux videos, and I'm not sure if some of them will go on the main channel, because I want to move people on the main channel. Yeah, I want to move them out of their comfort zone. The stuff that's like sort of uber nerdy and dry and maybe stuff like that we'll put on the Linux channel. I don't want the Linux channel to all be dry. We can maybe even get more people involved with it. If you're someone out there who wants to maybe help out with some of these channels, that could be something we'll do. Whether it's either writing outlines for us or even, filming tutorial videos, we could possibly make that work. I don't know. You open to that? What do you think?
Yeah, or just putting an article together, and then we can shoot a video that goes with it. Honestly, we're working on moving the forums to discourse, and when
I'm
we
going to bring it up
do,
right now.
there's we're going to work on a community area. So right now you can have a blog on the community. We're going to make the community able to do their own reviews as reviews and some other things. It'll still be featured in the community area on the site. We can't, like, some people can put up really inflammatory things, and so that has to be segregated into the community area. But you guys will have more of an opportunity to do those kinds of reviews and overviews and things like that. Because we actually had a few people submit articles and reviews of games and stuff, but I get the feeling that they were kind of younger or kind of uneducated. And so the grammar and stuff was really bad. And it's like, I'd love to publish this, but I can't. There's not enough hours in the day to edit all this. So, but if it's in the community area, then we can do that and it won't be as bad.
Hold on a minute. Before you say that, we got an email from Roswell, and they were very upset about a video that we made about one of their products. And I told Roswell, I was like, we've never made a video for one of your products. And then they linked us to Tech Syndicate and someone else's blog, and they had posted a video that's whatever. It's it's like a webcam. It's a pretty crappy quality webcam video. The content wasn't all that bad, but it was a really crappy webcam shaky video, and it was posted on the blog. And they're like, "This is on your website," and then we had the language barrier to deal with. And it was like, and they were like, "You posted this video," and we were like, "No, that's the community blog. Do you not understand that is the community blog? We allow the community." And finally, we were just like, "You know what? Screw it. We don't want any of your crap. We made that video with a webcam. That's what we did." And then we just like, that was it. So no, I'm joking around. Roswell, we made that video. I promise you, we made that.
The other thing it's really exciting about the Linux community right now. So emulation of the Windows environment on Linux is difficult. Emulation of the Mac OS environment on Linux is markedly less difficult. And so we're, in terms of like developer man hours, if somebody's got about $3 million to throw away, we could get it done in probably a year. And that is a Mac OS emulation environment under Linux. Now, this probably can't happen in America because Apple, obviously. But, you developers that are in Estonia or, Eastern Europe bloc countries, that's sort of where I'm guesstimating about $3 million. It's going to take about $3 million of developer time. Somebody out there is probably already working on it in secret. But tomorrow, there could be a program that comes out that does a reasonably good job of emulating Mac OS. And one of the reasons that Mac OS is easier to emulate is because Apple routinely throws out all the old crap, whereas Microsoft is constantly trying to support all the old crap.
Legacy!
So all the old crap, all the old crap that has ever been in Windows since the beginning of time is pretty much all still there. And honestly, they made Windows 8 run on an ARM, on a 32-bit ARM. 90% of being able to do that was stripping out all the cruft that doesn't apply to ARM, which is most of that legacy support. And Windows 8 runs as fast as it does on ARM. Can you imagine running that lightweight version of Windows on, on x86? It would be crazy, but you wouldn't be able to run very many old programs. Whereas Apple has been perfectly happy to break old program compatibility, so it's much less of an uphill battle to deal with. And so, like I say, we are very close, I think, to seeing a project that only lasts a year or two get a very good emulation layer for Mac on Linux. And when that happens, you'll be able to run a lot of commercial software on Linux. I'm very surprised that we have not seen OpenSUSE or Ubuntu or one of those actually make a commercial app store. I think that, commercial software on Linux is no problem. That's a perfectly fine thing. People ought to be able to sell their software. And the fact that there's not one of the major distro maintainers really taking up that mantle and really doing something with it, I think is a problem for the Linux community, because Google Play has certainly helped the rate at which programs are developed for Android. Why don't we have that for Linux?
This whole thing you just said about the whole commercial store, the Stallman freaks are going crazy right now. You realize that, right? They are going insane. This one guy just fell out of his chair and landed on 15 pizza boxes. That's what's happening right now. So, over on 4chan, over in /G, it's now your turn. You're going to get the fake nose and you're going to get the ridiculous Photoshop job. So this week it's going to be.
I don't subscribe to the Church of RMS. I'm much more pragmatic.
Well, that's what's going to happen. You're gonna have to deal with the fake nose and all that stuff. The shill nose, as we'll call it. It's it's just going to happen. I mean, I had to go through that last week, and I cried for 16 days between now and last week. Figure that out. If you got a Funkin' Wagnalls, look that up. I have no idea what that means. But yeah, so I think it's funny. Last week when I said that, there was like 10 minutes later, it was on G, because they do what they're told. They know what's up. I'm a bastard. So, oh yeah, I guess you want to talk about the details on AMD's leaked architecture here that we don't really have many details on, but hey, there it is. Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead and paraphrase what this is. AMD's new Zen architecture. So remember when we just recently on the tech, we said some people, after drinking way too much alcohol, like I may do tonight, in bars, in places like Las Vegas, where everything is supposed to stay, might have said things like, "Oh my God, bro, AMD, they didn't have anything on the roadmap for a long time. And holy shit, there's something on the roadmap. And I've said too much. Oh my God." So there's that. And apparently they're working on some new x86 architecture that is going to be based on the 40, or it's going to be made or fabbed using a 14 nanometer manufacturing process. And it may have as many as 8 cores and a 95 watt TDP. It'll work with DDR4, PCI Express 3.0, and it'll be a new FM3 socket. So it's not going to be AM4 or whatever. It's going to be FM3 to replace the FM2 Plus socket, which makes me think that this might actually end up being, a regular FX part, but also possibly an APU. And maybe they're using some of the technology that they've been working on for the different consoles and things, even though that's kind of similar to what they've been working on with FM2. Maybe they've taken that and just moved it to a better manufacturing process. All I'm wondering is are these cores going to be big, strong cores like the Intel cores? Are they going to be like the current FX stuff, like the 9590 and the 8350, which are the weaker cores that are really good if you want to do virtualization, that sort of thing, and they're also pretty good for gaming and really good for the money, but they can't keep up with Intel per core, even with the the socket, the socket 2011 stuff, certainly not. But like the Z97 stuff can't even keep up with that per core. So I don't know if they've developed something that's this is just like, I don't know, like the stuff that you hear here and you read here. There's a bunch of specs, but how do the cores work? What is the structure of the cache? Because that's going to be really, really important. And just how fast is this thing going to be on a per core basis? That's what I want to know, and then I'll get really excited. But I think it's just way overdue. I mean, AMD needs something now. Like they need something 5 days ago. Their stock is not doing so hot. And I like to support AMD because they're more friendly with the open source community than Intel. But they got to do something. They really got to get something going on. I don't know. Your turn. Go ahead.
So the guy leading this, his name's Jim Keller. Jim Keller is a really shrewd, really sharp guy, and so I think that he would be able to pull it off if anybody's able to pull it off. I would like to know a little bit more about the other talent working on the project, so I could just totally make armchair conjecture. I know, no idea. But the other thing that worries me is the losses that AMD posted, and the one of the leaks said that this is probably going to come out in Q3 of 2016. Q3 of 2016, the jump from 32 to 14 nanometer doesn't seem like that big of a deal. It's not as if they're going to do a die shrink from 32 to 14 nanometers. I mean, obviously that would be really problematic for a lot of reasons. But they're talking about new architecture on 14 nanometer. I would hope that they would start prototyping it not on 14 nanometer way ahead of time. But the fact that this is going to be in Q3 of 2016, that's got to be really bad for AMD's bottom line. I hope that the owners of AMD are willing to invest and put up with significant losses between now and then to pull this off. That said, we don't really know anything about the architecture or the particulars. The other thing is that Intel is going to be watching this really closely. So I really, really hope that Intel has no idea what's going on. I would almost rather leave the team alone and let them do their thing and see what they're going to come out with, because I think with Keller in charge that they might pull off a win. The thing with Bulldozer, the big problem with Bulldozer is that it really doesn't run legacy single-threaded code all that well. It's great if you, like on Linux, especially if you're using a distribution like Gentoo or Sabian, where you can opt to compile all of your stuff for your machine. It is blazing fast. But, you know, as we saw on Windows, you could see significant performance improvements on Windows by pinning tasks to execution units, which is like a dual core. Like the task scheduler in Windows was so dumb that it was like scheduling two processes to be on the same compute unit, which is like shows up as like two cores instead of different cores and things like that. And so we saw the patch for Windows 7, and then Windows 8 had a better scheduler. And then there were third-party programs that came out where you could pin tasks to individual cores, and you could get really good performance improvements by using those programs on AMD. But that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. The operating system should have better support for that. And so the people that were on Linux actually had a very good experience with AMD, and the people on Windows that were willing to jump through the hoops had a reasonable experience with AMD. But I think that they've sort of learned that, oh, that's probably not going to work in an x86 land. So let's take over the universe. The other units of AMD will probably make up for the loss. I'm hoping they'll make up for the loss, so that it's going to be all these APUs and general compute and things like that, because I think AMD has decided that the PC market is basically a race to the bottom. So if we've got a really powerful x86 core paired with a really powerful GPU core all on one chip, we can basically do the entire computer on a chip. That's really powerful. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be fast. We'll pair that with GDDR5, use that, you know, for system memory, because 8 gigs of GDDR5 is not really that expensive anymore. Ta-da, you know, perfectly operational system. AMD could pull that off, and they could have a really powerful, low-cost system, and that'd be great. But I don't know if they're going to do that in the intervening 18 months, and that's actually going to happen.
I mean, the whole leaked idea of 95-watt TDP is great, especially for something from, well, I mean, I guess they've currently got their new energy efficient parts that are around that. So that could be interesting. If their cores are fast enough, it'll be great. But the whole I guess performance per watt is going to be a big deal, and I think AMD knows that. So 14 nanometers is going to help that out a lot. We'll have to watch their graphics cards as well. We got the 390X coming out soon. It's a secret. I don't know anything about the 390X. I really don't know anything. It just makes sense logically that that's going to be next. And every time I asked about the 390X at the convention, I was told, what? Huh? What? Huh? Who? So it was kind of silly. I mean, AMD, everybody knows that it's going to be next because it's about freaking time for it. So it's soon, maybe, AMD. Anyway, if that one does really good per watt, then maybe have something to talk about.
I think there's a bunch of 970 customers out there that are just going to buy AMD on principle.
After that, the whole anger about the cache being misrepresented in the first place.
Oh my God, it's got 256 kilobytes less of L2 cache.
Okay, since we're on INBOX.EXE, do I get to ask you questions? Because I didn't watch the entire Ryan Strout video with one of the Nvidia engineering guys. So is Ryan Strout too sympathetic to Nvidia, or is he being a scientist about this? What do you think?
Oh, so I'm picture me. I'm in the circus, and I'm walking. I'm getting ready to walk across the tightrope, and below me there are angry bears, crocodiles, and some sort of genetic mutant hybrid unicorns that have lasers on their head. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to navigate the tightrope, but to balance it, all I've got is my Model M. So yeah, that's literally all I have.
I'll preface this because I think Ryan is freaking awesome. And dude, if you're going to be at PDX Land or QuakeCon, I challenge you to some games. I'm not sure what, but I didn't watch the whole video. I just saw that he had an Nvidia engineer on there immediately and gave them sort of a platform to explain what was going on here. And since I didn't watch it, I can't make comment, but I wanted to know if he was being sympathetic or if he was asking some hard, tough questions. Because, like I said, I don't know.
He was okay. So I think the best coverage on the internet right now is Ryan's coverage, and there was some coverage on AnandTech. And those two articles are probably so much better than anything else on the internet that those are the things you guys should probably go read and see for yourself. That said, I thought he was very fair to Nvidia without being to the Nvidia engineer without being abrasive. I felt like that we would probably be more abrasive, and he was much more
Can't help it.
diplomatic, I think. And so, but at the end of the day, so the 256 kilobytes of cache, that doesn't really bother me. I mean, it bothers me a little bit that they're like, oh, it's 2 meg. And they're like, well, it's just a hair less than 2 meg. And that's because of their particular architecture situation. I think that probably should have been disclosed in the marketing material. The thing that really left me scratching my head is the bridge from 3.5 to 4 gigabytes of memory. So those cards really do come with 4 gigabytes of memory, but the memory is arranged such that that last half a gig is much slower than the first 3.5 gig. So basically, the first 3.5 gig is wired in parallel, and then they can switch over to the other half a gig and get at it that way. So when you get past 3.5 gigs of normal usage on your card, things are potentially going to slow down. Now, of course, Nvidia has all these benchmarks where they're like, all right, I've got the game configured so it'll use less than 3.5 gig. Here's the performance now. Reconfigure the game to use more than 3.5 gig, and we see that it's only, you know, like a 5% or 10% reduction or something like that. But that's games of today, not games of the future. And a lot of games today, you know, what's the norm today? Like 2 gigs on a card, maybe 3 at the outset. So I think that for current games, the 970s will perform really well. For future games, I think the 970s are going to be more hobbled than they appear to be hobbled today. That said, I think the 970 is a pretty good overall value. The things that they got incorrect, I don't think that they were misleading intentionally. I think that they got in a hurry and
Like an honest mistake type thing.
yeah, but it's still like, I mean, if you were looking at it on paper and you would say, wow, there's really not a lot of difference between the 970 and the 980, what's going on? And it basically is that the 970s are, you know, worse binned 980s. And they could have been more direct and upfront about basically saying that or pointing that out. Now, I don't know if it's because there's a defect in that other 256 kilobytes of cache or there's a defect in the crossbar stuff that would hit that other RAM chip. Honestly, I have no idea. I don't see the point of including the other half a gig on the 970s. I really don't. There's probably, I mean, it's like if you go over 3.5 gig, it's still faster than system memory, but it's not significant. It's significantly faster than system memory. So it's like, oh, you know, it's really fast and then it's slower, and then you got to hit system memory and that's slowest. So you've got sort of a gradual warning there, I guess, or if you've got a really crazy scene in the game, maybe that's the difference for you with the other 512 megs. I don't really know, but I thought AnandTech's coverage was really good and Ryan Shrout's coverage is really good, and you should go look at it and, you know, sort of decide for yourself. But, you know, it's definitely a reminder that anytime anything's happening launch day, you don't necessarily want to buy stuff launch day until all the stuff sort of comes out with it.
You know, on that same token, the benchmarks that came out on launch day were still the benchmarks from that card. It was showing that card could really run a lot of the modern games and kick some, and it was kicking ass, you know? So
that's true.
You know, this stuff does not negate the original benchmarks that showed this card performing better than most of the other cards out there on the market. And it keeps up with a 290X in a lot of tests. Where you're going to see the 290X jump ahead is the games that actually do require a bit more RAM, like heavily modded Skyrim and Max Payne with the settings turned up to stupidity. With all the filters and everything on. So the 970s are, in my opinion, still a very good card. There's some stuff right around the corner that's going to probably make the 970s somewhat irrelevant, but I don't know anything about it. Damn it, I've said too much.
Now, I think also, too, you got to be careful here because NVIDIA is being very careful to do market segmentation. And so market segmentation means that they want to sell different products to different people. I believe that they haven't stated it, but it is my belief that they are segmenting their gamer populations into 1080p gamers, 1440p gamers, which have less of their attention, and 4K gamers. And it's totally the segmentation between the 970 and the 980 is totally that 4K segment.
Well, don't forget the 960.
Well, okay, yeah. So the 960, 1080p, 970, 1440p, 980
exactly.
4K, and that's
Yeah,
not
that's
really
exactly right.
they're not really considering 1440p. I think that they're really saying like 1080p medium settings, 1080p ultra settings with the 960 and 970, but the 980 you pretty much have to have the 980 for 4K, and really you probably still need two
Yeah, probably need
980s.
two of them.
But
And even then, you may run into a bottleneck with the amount of RAM that's on there. I believe you'll probably do. I don't know. See, we just got. Where is it? Oh, let's give. We got Sapphire here in the house. We just got the VaporX right here. It's the 290X with 4 GB of memory right there. So I mean, not 4 GB, 8 GB as opposed to the 4. So 8 GB of memory. You will almost never need that for games. The 8 GB. It's going to be like identical benchmarks for 1080p and 1440p gaming. However, with 4K gaming, you may actually see an increase of 4 or 5 FPS depending on your settings. 5, 6, 7, 8% increase. So this might actually be worth it for 4K gaming, but I don't know. We're going to do some tests on it. The extra RAM, a little bit bigger frame buffer, might actually help.
Nvidia, so the 7 series, like 770, 780 benchmark today are 10% faster pretty much across the board than they were on launch day, and that owes to software optimizations and software optimizations to specific games. BioShock Infinite, for example, was more than 10% faster on current drivers for the 770 and the 780 than it was on launch day, which is crazy. I think that they're able to get a 10% performance improvement in just software over that period of time. The question will be, will we see a 10% performance improvement in current games once things have stabilized with the 970 and the 980? And is it going to be 10% on the 980 and 2% on the 970 because of the changes or whatever? We don't know. It remains to be seen.
All right. I think that's pretty much the end. One more question, maybe from the comments here. Hold up to 8 GB. What? Okay, everybody wants to know what I'm drinking. I said that earlier. You got to rewind. Any thoughts on monitors lately? I'm all for them. Best card for 3x 1080p gaming. Probably how much money is it? I don't know. How much is the 8 GB 290? How much? Just Google it, man. The 8 GB 290 is probably like $230 something dollars, $240. Waiting on FreeSync. I'm not saying anything that I really want to answer here. Just a bunch of stuff. You know, I will say this. I banned a ton of people. Like whenever you went off on a rant, I was like, let's go and ban people. And I just went ban happy. Like anyone who said the word vape, banned, because it's completely irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant to the conversation. And I will say this, guys, cut him some slack. Pistol is a true introvert, and I feel like introversion has become sort of a trend these days. And anyone who's mysterious and artistic is, oh, look at me, I'm an introvert. No, those guys are not introverts. They're attention whores. She's a true introvert, and a lot of times she needs to be doing something. And that also is, she smoked when she was a kid, so it helps with that. So I'll defend her with that, and she's also vaping organic juice, so there's no nicotine. So everybody shut up. Just shut up. And I'll ban everybody who mentions vaping because it's so irrelevant to the conversation. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to ban everyone who says vaping right now.
We got to take one more question just to not end on that.
No, I'm going to. I've got to block the freaking amazing TJ Atheist again. Someone keeps making fake amazing atheist accounts, but they're not the real amazing atheist. I've banned every one of them. You go ahead and waste all day long making YouTube accounts, and I'll ban them. It'd be great. So yeah, last question, and I'm ignoring all these questions. You got one? You got one?
Kind of. Well, I kind of got one. Maybe it's not really a question. It is a question. So we did the FreeNAS video, and somebody was saying, "Hey, how do I set up?" We've gotten a lot of questions lately. At least I've gotten a lot of questions in email and on the forum and stuff. And I think there were some older ones from Inbox, but they're like, doing the home server thing. What do I do? Or doing my home lab server thing. What do I do? So the FreeNAS thing is still relevant. The new feature on FreeNAS that we've shot, there's a video of it, but I have not done the voiceovers for, is you can run VirtualBox with FreeNAS now. So there's Nosferatu, and you can run VirtualBox, which means you can run Windows under FreeNAS. You can run Linux under FreeNAS. You could do Linux and jails before, but they've basically stopped supporting that because that was a pain in the ass. You can run anything under VirtualBox under FreeNAS. Yeah, your home server needs to have a lot of RAM and all that kind of stuff, but some of you guys might have saw the tweet where I basically am putting together the HAL 9000. So I've got a Raspberry Pi hooked up, streaming video back to a virtual machine on Nosferatu, which is carrying out tasks for me in an automated kind of way. So on the media server video that you guys saw from way back, we talked about setting up Mythbuntu and having it record stuff from television automatically. Well, I've basically expanded that system. There will never be a video on this because this is probably, I don't even know if this is a thing. But so the system does things completely automatically. It scours the internet looking for things for me that are of interest, and it records TV and captures movies and music and stuff that are of interest from television. It's basically a glorified DVR, but it's really awesome. And so now it's like a home server, and it's also going through and organizing all my stuff and putting it in Plex, and it's completely automated. And so I hadn't checked in on it in a while, and I checked in on it the other day, and I was looking through it, and it's like, that system's downloaded about 20 gigabytes of free books. That's kind of nice. That's pretty neat. I like that. And it's just completely on its own, just doing things. And I'm like, oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do this other thing. And so, yeah, that's why you need a home server. And so I will probably do an updated video on how to build a home server and set up virtual machines. And then you'll be on your own to figure out what exactly you want it to do. But there's all kinds of software out there where you can email it. You can have your own sort of personal digital assistant. It's kind of like Siri, except the interface is not quite as polished. But you could, email a torrent file to an email address, and then the system would start downloading that no matter where you are. Or if the system sees your phone hop on the network, and your phone responds to pings, it's like, oh, let me turn the driveway lights on for you, or let me turn the lights on near your porch, and that kind of thing. So we might do some home automation stuff, things like that, maybe. So home server stuff, the key ingredient there though is having a powerful central home server that you can do your backups on, that have your data, that you can run virtual machines on. That is the cornerstone. Once you have that, you can do all sorts of crazy stuff. You can use a Raspberry Pi as a dumb terminal with OpenCV, so that you can, and either Jasper or Wit.ai. So Jasper and Wit.ai are your voice personal assistants. You can pass that through with the Raspberry Pi to your software that's running on a powerful machine, and do a lot of really cool, crazy stuff. And so I would like to get you guys to do those kinds of things, and then maybe build a little mini community around that in the community section of the website when we do that on Discourse very soon, because I think that could really take off. There needs to be an open source version because if you're gonna have a personal assistant that's gonna know all your secrets, it damn well better not be Google, Microsoft, or Apple.
Yeah, that's why I haven't started using a lot of those programs, and I'm scared to death of Windows 10, because Cortana is completely integrated into Windows 10, and it's going to be just another Siri or another Google, where they, they're very helpful, and they kill you with convenience, and at the same time they're harvesting all your data and making money off you because you're just another, you're a digit to them. You're not actually an individual. So if you have control of your own system, there's got to be an open source version of this. There has to be. Maybe the open source version can tie into some sort of a back end, but there has to be a separation between that and the stuff that you tell them. You know what I mean? And an open source version could accomplish those things. So that could be great. One of the first things I'm going to do after we finish building our new NAS is I'm going to be installing some. I'll probably install a couple of jails, and then I might run a VM. What I really want to do is be able to stream to multiple things at once, like Hitbox and Twitch. So that should be pretty easy to do, setting up a stream server on the NAS itself, kind of, that I stream to, and then it feeds it to multiple different sources outside. It can happen, but I'll build that. So that'll be a video as well.
There was a question that popped up that said, any news on Korean monitors? Yes, as a matter of fact. We've got a review coming up, maybe later probably not, well, I don't know, very soon. I'm almost done with it. Korean monitor, 95 hertz, guaranteed, IPS panel, comes with a Visa stand that's a really nice stand, and it'll work. It's a stand that's so nice you can set the monitor really tall, and it'll rotate all the way around to portrait, and that's completely fine. And so that's
Ooh.
actually on sale right now. It's a sale. It's available worldwide. I can link to it. We can post in the forum or whatever if anybody's interested. Just go to the forum and be like, "Hey, monitor, there's a full review coming." But if you want to go ahead and buy it, the short version is it's basically everything they advertise. The biggest deal that you might run into is some video cards are a little picky when you're setting the refresh rate. So you might have to do like 94, 95 hertz, but 95 hertz guaranteed refresh rate, 1440p IPS panel. It looks like the X Star enclosure, but it's got a really nice, solid, rotating, telescoping foot. So you can height adjustable and rotation and the whole 9 yards.
Man, I saw one more amazing question, and then it scrolled past, and where did it go? Well, yeah, I think that's pretty much good now. Half-Life 3 is confirmed, by the way, everybody. Just let me know, in the comments. For people who are asking, yeah, it's confirmed. I talked to Gabe, as a matter of fact, this morning. What's
Did
that?
we tell everybody why Half-Life 3, like, the problem with Half-Life 3 is...
It's a secret, right?
You can't... Okay, so look at where we are. Half-Life 2 is sort of the perfect... if I can put on my I don't know, some sort of anthropologist hat. No, that's not even.
What kind of hats do they wear?
Crazy person. Probably, I don't know. But so Half-Life 1 and 2 almost is like an existential crisis. I mean, even if you win, did you really win? Did humanity win? I mean, arguably surviving that, are you really better off than the rest of humanity that perished? I don't know. And so how would you continue the story in Half-Life 3? I don't know how you would reset. I don't know how you would win against the bad guys. They've already
written
won.
themselves into a corner, yeah.
It's like I'm on the space station and I've watched the Earth's atmosphere burn away. Woo, I survived on the space station. What am I going to rebuild humanity by myself? Is Gordon Freeman and Alex going to rebuild humanity all on their own? I mean, that's not a very good story. That's not compelling. That's not really interesting. It's kind of a saga, and they could maybe come up with something that is more like that. It's maybe like the Epic of Gilgamesh, maybe.
I know what's going to happen. So the aliens are going to leave, and they're going to basically grow a bunch of people in test tubes, and those humans will come to life, and then they'll all start breeding and that sort of thing. And then about 5,000 to 7,000 years are going to pass, and we'll have modern day where we're talking about the current Sumerians who were put there by some weird aliens.
So this will actually be the second age of man. Is that what you're telling me?
That's right. Yeah. All right. Last question that I answer here. This will be the second age of man. That's how they're going to tie this back together. The guys, take notes. Valve, just say thank you in the comments or in the credits to us, because we came up with this genius idea. So Sammy wants an alternative to OBS in Linux, and the alternative to OBS in Linux is OBS in Linux. It's not out yet, and there's a multi-platform OBS coming out. It's available for OS 10 already, because I guess they put priority on the OS 10 version for whatever reason, but there's going to be a Windows version and a Linux version coming out very soon. It's a total rewrite of the code, and it looks really promising. Just bear with them for now. Other than that, there's what's the program? Do you have a program preference for capturing the screen in Linux? I mean, OBS is going to be far and beyond anything. I've always had trouble getting it to work well.
It's like Simple Screen Share or something like that. It's a very simple screen recorder. It doesn't even you can combine that with Smile, and so it's the Linux way. It's like do one thing and do it well. So you have a program that gives you the video, and then you have the screen from your video cam, your webcam, whatever, and then you have the screen capture, and so you're capturing the screen basically. It's not like Open Broadcaster where you can switch scenes and do that kind of thing. Open Broadcaster is probably the best option, but failing that, the Simple Screen Recorder is very good, very solid. I've never had it crash. I've never had to do anything weird. I've never lost a recording with it, and I've recorded a ton of stuff with it on a ton of different distributions for those upcoming Linux videos. I mean, I'm like 40 hours in of recording, so it's pretty crazy.
All right, to end the video, let's go ahead and say thanks to our sponsors, which is us. I'm going to check mark a thing here. Whatever. Yeah. Where's my mouse? It's gone forever. There it is. Guys, check out our design of the month here. It'll be gone in just a couple of days. Let me move this over so you guys can see it. That's the design of the month, and we just got some of these t-shirts in the studio here. They are printed on like the softest freaking things ever. The print looks really distressed, and this design will be gone at the end of the month. And the new design will be the one I'm currently wearing, this huge, dark, sort of gray Burning Earth logo. That'll be the design of February. And please, guys, send us your designs. We may end up using, and if we use them, we're going to give you money. So that's just the way it works. We don't take your stuff and use it for free. I'll give you guys some money if we use it. So this is the design of February. The way it works is we only take orders for the month of February, and at the end of the month, that's it. It's done. If it comes back, it won't be for like another year at least. We may have a new design by then, so it may never come back. But this will be the design next month. This huge gray Burning Earth. I quite enjoy this shirt. Anyway. So yeah, that's the end of the episode. Thank you guys for watching and hanging out. Thank you guys for asking questions. And I imagine we'll see you guys in the future. Please send all suggestions and questions and that sort of thing. But send them all to us. Just put them in the forum. And be sure to go over to INBOX.EXE and ask your questions. And the last thing I want to mention is that we do have, let me go over to Syndicate.com right here. We do have, it's right here.
Many support options.
Yeah. So if you guys like the content and, want to help make the content better or help just, us keep our, keep this as our day job, you guys can go here and click on tech support over on the sidebar right there, tech support. And you can choose to either, give us a coffee or a beer every month. That's it. $3.33 a month could feed these 5 people who are making these videos for you. It could happen. So
it's true.
Yeah. So thanks very much to everybody out there, and we'll see you guys on the website.
Yay, inbox out.
How do I stop this thing? I don't even know. Hold on, I gotta stop it.
Lordy.
See, I wasn't ready for we gotta make another outro now because I gotta stop this thing proper. Like, all right, you ready for this inbox over? If I can find how to stop this thing, I will. But right now, it's a train that's going off the track.
PSAUX grep inbox.exe pipe kill F9.
Hold on, it's happening. It's all that's happening right now. Video manager. I'm just gonna do it the old-fashioned way because I can't seem to get my mouse over to stop streaming. Bye!